Now let's continue with the SONA. President Cyril Ramaphosa said yesterday that the implementation of the 3 new anti-gender-based violence bills he signed last month will go a long way to ensuring successful prosecutions and protecting survivors. The president also vowed better protection for the whistleblowers of corruption and state capture. Ramaphosa was speaking during the State of the Nation address at the Cape Town City Hall. Now let's discuss this and other matters. We are now joined via Zoom by the Minister of Justice and Correctional Services, Ronald Lamola. Minister, thank you so much for availing yourself this afternoon and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, and to the viewers.
Now, Minister, I'd like us to start on the State of the Nation address. As I've said in the intro, on issues of corruption, President Cyril Ramaphosa, he spoke about efforts to strengthen whistleblower protection. Now, he's also made mention that there are discussions that are currently underway with the Judiciary for the creation of special court roles for state capture and corruption. Please expand on these, especially given the criticism around the lack of government action and urgency.
Yes, obviously, whistleblowers is an issue of great concern to government, particularly when they are intimidated. Some of them murdered. It affects the work of the law enforcement agencies. And it is through the whistleblowers that law enforcement agencies are able to uncover things that would have otherwise have never been known, even through the media or through law enforcement agencies. So it is important that we anchor a legislation that will respond to this. Hence, you'll have heard the president speaking about also looking into foreign jurisdictions, how they handle this matter, so that we are able to give a concrete response that will enable the law enforcement agencies to do their job with the witnesses that they need. And with regard to the issue of the creation of a dedicated, specialized corruption role, indeed, we are in engagement with the stakeholders within the criminal justice cluster, including the South African Police Services, the NPA, the Justice Department itself, and the Judiciary as the people presiding over these matters, to ensure that these matters are able to receive the necessary priority that the nation expects from us. And we have already started. You'll remember during the PPE scandal that the president announced that we're going to have 4 additional dedicated specialized commercial crimes court. We have created those courts. We do have them in the Northwest, in Limpopo, and also in the Eastern Cape and Mpumalanga. Those courts will enable us to ease the court role, to focus on the matters that relate to special commercial crimes court, including corruption that will have emanated from the state capture report. And already you will be aware that there are already matters that emanate from this state capture report that are already in the court roll, like the Estina one, and also billions of rand have been recovered from the some of the big multilaterals that were involved in state capture.
Now, one of the other criticism, of course, as we said in the intro, is the effective prosecutions, which a lot of people have criticized, saying that is lacking. And that criticism is directly directed at the courts. Now, with these 4 special courts, I know that you've said that you have started, with implementations. Talk to us about what exactly and how far you are exactly in as far as that is concerned, because the PPE scandal is not a new thing. It's been in front of the courts for a while now.
Yeah, the PPE scandal, you will be aware that already there is lots of money, millions of rands that have been frozen and recovered through the special tribunal that the president has created. And there are some few cases that are also in the court roll for prosecution. It's currently happening. People are being prosecuted. And also on the state capture, as you have said, there is a case already that is before the court. That the one that comes to my mind immediately is the Estina one. So the ball is rolling. And the president has also spoken about us accepting graciously the offer from the private sector to help in this regard, which will be done through regulations of the National Treasury to ensure that the law enforcement agencies are not compromised in terms of their independence as guided by their acts. But we will receive further skills from the private sector that will help the work in the space of the law enforcement agencies, and with proper guidance and the framework that will enable that to happen.
Now, Minister, as it relates to dealing with corruption, one would imagine that there would be closer collaborations between government departments and more especially capacity to ensure that task teams like the anti-corruption task team, as an example, are effective. Now, as it stands, there's also criticism leveled at the ACTT, which people are saying that it's failed, and it's largely because of the absence of the radical reform of the criminal justice administration. Now, this is reform, of course, that is urgently required. Your thoughts on this?
Yeah, obviously, that is why we have the Fusion Center, which has enhanced collaborations amongst all the law reform or the criminal justice institutions, the NPA, the Financial Intelligence Center, the SIU, the Hawks, and all role players in the space. And that has enhanced coordination, it has enhanced work that is pointed and directed. And hence we now have cases that I said are in the Special Commercial Crimes Court on PPE, and also on the relevant matters. So it is work in progress, and I believe that with time it will evolve, and the collaboration will be strengthened.
Now, the criticism is not leveled at the fact that you can create, these spaces and these task teams like the one that you speak of now. The criticism is leveled at there's a lack of collaboration between the various stakeholders and entities, which is why we are not seeing, action from government as fast as one would see it. Now, talk to us about, just some of the time frames and the timelines that you have placed on yourselves.
Yeah, I have already told you that there is action. There is cases before court as we speak, where there is prosecution on the PPE matters. There is cases as we speak now on the state capture matter, and I've mentioned the Estina one that comes to mind. So there is work that is happening. Obviously, it's not as society might have expected, but there is work that is happening. And unfortunately, we cannot be able to put time frames on investigations and prosecutions, because those are informed by the evidence, the information before the investigators, and also the prosecutors. But what we can say is that we all understand the agency on these matters, and we also believe that the law enforcement agencies also understand that agency. You will have heard the president when he received the Zondo report, when he said that there is nothing that stops law enforcement agencies from doing their work. As we speak now, the NPA Act allows them, and the Hawks Act allows them. So the agencies understood, and I believe they will be able to act.
Minister Lamola, let's now talk about recent criticism leveled at yourself and the judiciary at large. Let's start, in fact, with the latter. Comments by Minister Lindiwe Sisulu widely condemned, and quite frankly, her statements, which essentially debunked the rule of law and the Constitution, left many feeling that her comments might reflect the state of the nation. Your comments on that? No, it doesn't. Obviously, the South African nation is not a nation of insults. We understand that there should be criticism of the Constitution, which is normal, and also the work that the judges are doing is normal. There could be criticism, but the criticism should be fair and also should be informed by facts. And the Constitution, it's a living document. It has been amended 17 times. We attempted to amend it with the 18th Amendment with regards to the land, but it is not cast in stone. And you can propose amendment to the Constitution if you are of the view that there are things that needs to be changed. So that there is also reality that our courts have taken very progressive decisions
on the various socio-economic issues, on housing, on medical access to medical medicine, and access to water and so forth. So our courts have been alive to these realities of our country. What we obviously have to do more in terms of inequality and poverty, and also creation of jobs, is what the president has said yesterday through the SONA, which is not obstructed by the Constitution. We can do all the issues that the president has announced yesterday, and we can be able to achieve the objective of eliminating poverty through the work that can be done now.
All right, I'd like now to touch on the appointment process for acting judges of the Constitutional Court. Now, during the Chief Justice interviews, EFF leader Julius Malema suggested that you had asked Acting Chief Justice Zondo to consider appointing Gauteng Judge President Mlambo in an acting position at the Constitutional Court in June last year, now before he was shortlisted as a Chief Justice nominee. Now, as a way to prepare him for the current interviews, now questions are still there, Minister, about whether you try to improperly influence the appointment of acting judges. What does the Constitution allow? Perhaps give us context here.
The Constitution says that acting judges of the court are appointed on the recommendation of the Minister of Justice with the concurrent of the Chief Justice, which is the procedure that we follow every time that such appointments have to happen. And obviously, acting judges are appointed from the ranks of people that will one day be judges of any court if they do have an ambition. So there was no malice from our side in that regard. It is a procedure that from time to time we have to follow what the Constitution says.
Very quickly, Minister, and as a last final question, to you this afternoon, the recent expert panel report following the July 2021 unrest called on Cabinet to take overall responsibility for the events of July 2021. In fact, President Cyril Ramaphosa yesterday apologizing for the role of a Cabinet. What is your understanding of this apology, and what role could you have played better yourself?
Yeah, obviously is that we have to be accountable to the nation. People lost lives, they lost livelihoods, they lost jobs. So Cabinet has to take responsibility for this unrest. It is something that was a sad part in our democracy. And I do believe that, as he has said, the president will have to come up with plans and an actionable plan that will ensure that such do not reoccur in our nation. And from our side, we always said, even during that period, that we must, all of us, participate in enhancing and even in a national dialogue that does not inflame or incite any form of violence. Let's all of us respect the rule of law.
Minister, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Really do appreciate you availing yourself.
Thank you.